This meeting is being recorded.
James, you can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition. And again, like we did once before, this is an early evening edition. I know you're used to us being on at 7, but we're here at 5 or a little after 5. Thanks for those hanging in there. And we're here because we have another program we have to go to after at IC Northam. You know, we never turn down the opportunity to be at IC Northam. You understand, y'all guys understand. But anyway, we're here at 5, and we have a special guest with us this evening. And Leah, if you will, introduce our special guest.
Yes, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce to some and to reacquaint to others, Kimberly Mitchell Waters. Kimberly is a young lady I met at a Reentry Council conference a couple of weeks ago. And when I met Kim, I said, oh my God, her energy is just so good. I love her energy. I love what she's saying. I love what she's trying to do. And I love that it didn't matter where she was, it's where she is today that makes a difference. Kimberly is a young lady who unfortunately had to serve time in our system. However, she didn't let that determine or define who she is. She came out determined. She came out with a mission. You know, sometimes God places in places that we don't know why we're there. We can't understand the reasons why we're there. But then if you sit back and if you just be quiet for a few minutes, he would give you your mission, what you need to be doing, how you can better society. And Kim came out of there with a mission, and she's going to talk about that. She's really concerned about employability for women. She's really concerned about the reentry process for women. And she made me aware, although we do the reentry program at the sheriff's office, she made me aware of the fact that we always focus on the men. We never focus on the women. But this is a young lady with an amazing story and who is going to have an amazing future. So just sit back and relax. And we're going to hear from Kimberly Mitchell Waters. Kim, welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Welcome.
me on. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Leah. Thank you, Mr. James, for having me on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. I feel wonderful and honored to be here today.
Yes, and Kim was a little nervous at first, but I'm sure she's relaxed. She's comfortable now, and and we're going to take it from there. But Kim, you want to share a little bit of your story with the audience?
Yes. Well, being a teenage mother, I went through my ups and downs. And with that being said, I ended up in federal prison, and going to federal prison was hard. A lot of people don't understand that when you go to federal prison, it's a difference from going to state.
Right.
They go through your family history, they go through your life with a fine tooth comb. And me being a woman, I had to leave my children. And that was one of the main goals that it was one of my missions that, look, I wanted to get back. I had to get back and I had to make a change in my life because us being mothers, we're nurturers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the first person that the children hold on to. So when the mother is taken from out of the home, it's a lack there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I did come home, I noticed that when I was in a halfway house in Norfolk, they were sending us to these programs that were not that many in 2008. It was not that many, but majority that was there, they was only focused on the men.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me wonder, what about the women?
Mm-hmm.
We come home with so much more to gain. We have to start relationships back with our children.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find housing so we can get our children back. It's just so much more. And women need a little bit more than men do when they're re-entering into society from incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of my goals to help with.
Mm-hmm.
to make sure women have that goal, to help with the mental health part, the family strain, because some of us do have to come home and live with our children.
Mm-hmm.
And if we start inside of the prisons and the jails, start and building that bond, I think it will be better when they come home with this, to try to find the support that they need.
Mm-hmm. How did your children handle, how old were your children, first of all, when you went into the system?
My youngest was maybe, I'm going to say 9 going on 10.
Uh-huh.
And my oldest was maybe 13 at the time.
And were they able to come and see you while you were there, or did you not want them to see you while you were there?
I did not really want them to come see me when they was there, but they missed their mother.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They missed their mother. They wanted to come. So I did let them come visit me one time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I did.
And how long were you there, Kim?
I was only there for 18 months.
Okay.
I was in West Virginia in Alderson.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes.
And while you were there, you developed a passion.
Yes.
What was that passion that you developed?
The passion was I wanted change.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted change in my life. I accepted accountability. And once I did that, my life started changing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to start with you. My saying is, if you heal yourself, you will heal generations after you.
Exactly.
And me being a mother, I had to heal myself so I could come home to make sure that my children had an active mother,
Mm-hmm.
a mother that they could still be proud of. And, I could show them the right way to live in society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my goals.
So did you get your GED prior to going in or after you went in?
I received my GED when I was before I went into prison.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then you came out and you began working as a CNA.
Not right off bat.
Uh-huh.
When I came home, I could not find a job.
Nobody wanted to hire you.
I came home in the midst of a recession,
mm-hmm.
and it was no jobs. I
Uh-huh.
mean, even my probation officer, he told me, he was like, listen, he said the economy is bad right now.
Uh-huh.
So pretty much what I need for you to do is stay underneath of the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you find something great, but, try other avenues, but it's hard out here.
Mm-hmm.
So with him telling me that, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what do I supposed to do?
Uh-huh.
And so I did find myself, depressed,
Uh-huh.
because I had 2 young girls looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
I had my daughters looking at me, but, I kept going.
Uh-huh.
I kept moving. I kept trying to find a way. My dad used to speak to me all the time, like, Kimberly, I know it's hard. God have you, but
Uh-huh.
you can do it. Even my kids, my daughters, they was like, Mom, it's gonna be okay.
Uh-huh.
And people don't understand support
Mm-hmm.
is the main thing you need when you
Mm-hmm.
come home.
Yes. Yes.
You cannot make it without support, even if it's from a friend. I don't care who it's from. Support is needed
Mm-hmm.
when you come home from all avenues.
Uh-huh.
Because when you come home, most of the time you have to come home to someone's address.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
You have to come home to someone's address. So when you're coming home to someone's address, they might already have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the family members don't even want you there.
Uh-huh.
Some of the family members, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have the support, the mental support, let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that mental support to be able to keep going and keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was easy,
Uh-huh.
because it was not easy.
Uh-huh.
It was not easy. I became a CNA. I was like, let me try to find something that maybe that I could find a job,
Mm-hmm.
that were employment. So I went to TCC and I received my certificate for nurses aid.
Uh-huh.
But when it was time for me to take my state board,
Uh-huh.
it took me 3 months to sit for the state board because they denied me because of my past.
Uh-huh.
So I had to go through so many hoops and hurdles
Uh-huh.
just to sit for a state board to become certified as a nursing assistant.
So what did you have to do in order to allow them to allow you to take your state boards?
I had to write a letter stating how I changed. I had to go to the federal building and pay for certified copies of everything. I had to speak to like 2 people, explaining where I am in my life, and how I rehabilitated myself. And if you don't have the support, that will be draining.
Exactly. And it makes someone not want to do it, having to
Yes,
go through all those hurdles.
yes, yes. And it took me 3 months to sit for, but I was so determined because I needed employment. I needed employment. And what I want women to understand, I'm not just going to say women, but that's my passion. But we are not our convictions.
Exactly.
We are more than that. We are mothers. We are wives. We are daughters. We are friends. I mean, we are so much more, but society will make people think because we have convictions, that's what they look at us and form their opinion on.
Exactly.
And that's not fair. That's not giving us a second chance.
Exactly. Exactly. And yet they talk about second chances, but they take away all the avenues that you need in order to make it in that second chance. They put obstacles in your way, and anyone who is not as determined or as strong as you are would have given up.
Yes. It
And
was
falling back into the
times I
system.
wanted to. It was times I wanted to. It was times I wanted to, because I'm like, wow, like I can't even sit for a state board to go and get a job that's going to pay me $8 an hour. And that wasn't even enough to be able to go and find shelter for me if I needed it. So where do we draw the line at, with, convictions and second chances? And as far as mothers, I know it's a lot of mothers out here, their main goal is to get home to their children. Some of them, they have to find employment and housing before they could even see their children or get visitation. But how do they supposed to do that if they can't find employment?
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah. Kimberly, I just first like to say my respect for nurses and nurses assistants is the highest. As someone who spent a lot of time in the hospital and also had a second chance of life, I understand the importance of getting that second chance. Everybody deserves that. And I'm glad that you ran into Leah, because you're right. Most of us think, and I probably am one of them, we just think about men making that reentry. And we know that there are women that serve time, but our mind is geared or automatically focused on the men, because we just figure it's more men in the system than women, and we just don't imagine women being in that system. So being in that system, and just taking you back just a little bit, and you don't have to go into a lot of details, but excuse me, what was I mean, I guess it was a learning experience, and you're able to come out and try to discourage any other young women from going that way. So was it the experience of what you were in there 18 months?
Yes. It was a hard experience because my case went on for 2 years. And I was one of the blessed ones that had the family with the means to make sure that I had an attorney for me to be able to come home. My journey to those 18 months were not easy. I started with 25 years. So with that being said, I had the support that my family could afford to get me a good attorney to fight for me. Because if I did not have a good attorney, I would have maybe served those years.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. So many people tied up in that system because they didn't have the proper representation, no fault of their own. They just couldn't afford it. And thank God you had it, because I don't think I could do 3 minutes incarcerated. So I really, I'm kind of nervous in my room right here now. But anyway, I have a lot of respect for you, and especially what you're doing now. I guess it seemed like just knowing you, the little talk we had before, even if you hadn't had that experience, this seemed like something you would have been destined to do anyway. Without the, and like Leah mentioned, sometimes God takes us through a journey that he feels that we need to do. So when you come out of the other end of that journey, you're the best that you can be. Because you might have done this anyway, but you might not have been the best you can be. So this sort of guided you in a way where you just had to learn, because I know those tough lessons as well. So, and let's talk about, during that time, you said you had your daughters and they were encouraged to continue their education and come out, very successful in achieving their degrees in good quality education they got. Was it sort of a motivation from you, sort of pushing them, to be the best they can be?
Yes. That's one of my passions that I'm definitely going to continue. It's bridging that gap between mothers and daughters, or mothers and children in general, incarcerated women, because we, we're not our mistakes either, and we make mistakes. So, we want our children to be better than us. And one of my goals when I came home was I wanted them to have an education. I wanted them to have an education. I wanted them to have a chance at life. Even if they went on another path, they still had that opportunity to pursue a degree. And, I spoke to them a lot about that. My oldest daughter, she really didn't know exactly what field she wanted to be in. But the point that, she got a bachelor's degree in biology.
Wow.
My oldest daughter, my youngest daughter have a computer science degree. And that was a proud moment for me. That was a, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to ask this for Leah, gets back in with her question. When you talk about the reentry program that they have for people coming out, and we always talk about this, people that are in the system, and was your experience that the system is geared to reform, or you just there and they just housing you? Did you experience any kind of help on the inside that sort of was gearing you towards reform, or you just had to survive in there?
Yeah, pretty much I had to survive. But even when I was incarcerated, I took classes, certificates, I did a lot.
Okay.
I worked out,
That's what I was,
but it was on my own. It wasn't like it was forced. So, you have to have that mindset, and it still goes back to support. Male is important when you're incarcerated, and a lot of times, people don't, when you behind those bars, our days are not just like everybody else's days, and I know, we made bad choices, but we're still human. And for the ones that want the rehabilitation, they need that support from their families. They need that support from their friends. They definitely need it, because I definitely seen some things, that really broke my heart. And that was that I didn't know it at the time, but that was God putting that fire in me to say, you know what, you're gonna make a difference.
Now, Kimberly, with your friends, did your friends stand beside you, and were they there to support you as you went through this endeavor?
I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of friends, but the ones that did stand by me, they're still here today.
Amen.
They are still here today.
True friends.
They are true friends. True friends. And even through my growth, I have lost friends. But I'm fine with that now.
Yeah, because as you grow, those people who brings no enrichment into your life, they need to fall by the wayside.
Yes.
If they can't help you to be better, they don't need to be a part of your life,
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the sad thing. And that's what a lot of young people don't realize. They're thinking that these people are their friends for life. And I often tell them, if you ever get in trouble, these people are not going to be there with you. They're not going to be there to support you.
No, they're not. They are friends or people I call, they're there only for a season.
Exactly.
They're seasonal people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you needed them at that time.
At that time.
Mm-hmm. But you know, it was time for you to move on. No
Uh-huh.
malice, no bad feelings, but you know, you have to keep going. And
They
as you grow,
serve their purpose.
yes, and as you grow, you need that circle.
Mm-hmm.
You need that circle, especially as women. Women, you know, competition with women, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel, you know, we should empower one another because we go through so much. We wear so many hats,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we need that empowerment. You should be able to pick up the phone with your, you know, with your friend or your sister and be like, girl, I had a bad day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put me back because I'm on the ledge today. You
Uh-huh.
know, instead of using that opportunity to, you know, to beat you down more.
Beat you down.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because society is doing it enough.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's you know, that support, you know, and you have to be able to stay strong.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to stay strong. A lot of, you know, depression is real.
It is real. It is real.
Depression is real.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and like I said, with women, we go through so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have that support. And you know, coming from out of incarceration, it's even that times 10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you know, you need that circle.
Mm-hmm.
You need that circle, you need that motivation, you need that push.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, that's one of my goals.
Uh-huh.
You know, I went through, you know, I received I'm a CNA. I went to got my SPD certificate. I
And tell
went
them who may not understand SPD.
working with surgical instruments. I have a certificate, I can clean surgical instruments.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I went through, I'm a dental assistant, you know, but that just was not, I kept moving. I didn't want to stay stagnated, but I still felt that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't my passion. So with that being said, you know, I said, you know what? I'm gonna become an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. And you know, it was, to be honest, it's one of the best things I ever done.
Uh-huh.
It's hard,
Uh-huh.
but I love it.
And tell us what
I
you're
love
doing
it.
as an entrepreneur.
I have it's called K Mitchell Collections, KMC Baby. I have baby products, and my goal with that, you know, I'm some small business owner, small Black business owner, and with that being said, I enrolled into a program through ODU called the Dream Builders Program. One of my mentors gave me that and was like, Kim, I think you would be a good fit for this program. This program is awesome.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's teaching me all the fundamentals about business,
Mm-hmm.
things that you need to run a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. I have my, you know, sometimes I call my daughters, they like, Mom, it's okay. I'm like, you know, I call my dad, he be like, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, I wouldn't change anything that I'm going through. I wouldn't change anything that I went through, because my goal is to, once I get successful in my own right, I want to bring women up. I want to build a table, and I want to bring women up to my table.
Uh-huh.
And I want to be able to teach them the knowledge that I have so they can go and build their own table, so they can start pulling women up to their table.
Great job, Kim.
Yes.
And James, I told you you were going to love that energy, James.
Yeah, you know, the energy got me so much. I'm thinking maybe you should maybe you should get into baby formula.
That would be excellent.
The way it's going now, you know, you would be an instant millionaire.
That's right.
That would be,
you know, and it's so awesome to hear that you taking that entrepreneurship route, because you're a good role model for people now. And a lot of people did that, especially during the pandemic, when they had a chance to sit down and say, you know, I'm worth a lot more than that job I'm going to every day. You know, they had time to sit down and think about some of the dreams they had. And I think you had that. And well, of course, we here at Portsmouth Coffee Talk really appreciate that. And glad you're here to share that information. And a lot of people, maybe that's why we don't see, maybe a lot of women don't share that information like you are right now about the life they had before.
Because James, too, I know a number of ladies who have served time and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to share information on it. It's just like they pushed it back into the recesses of their minds. But with you coming out and talking, could you imagine how many women you are helping at this very minute as you share your story? Not only those who may be incarcerated or have been incarcerated, but think about the young women who are out there who may be possibly making a bad decision, and to hear your story, you can help them maybe to come off that ledge, not to go over that ledge, So you're willing to share your story and being up and upfront about your story. You can help so many other people along the way, not only with the entrepreneur piece and not only with the women coming to the table piece, but just life in general. Because we got a lot of young girls out there who are not making good decisions. And that's true. Go ahead, Kim.
And that's true, and that's so true. A lot of people talk about generational curses. Generational curses. My thing is, I don't want to talk about my generational curses. Let's talk about my generational strengths.
There you go. I like
we
that.
all have them.
Exactly.
If you have a curse, you have a strength. So take some of that, the bad, put that to the side. Let's talk about some of the strengths, regardless of what you went through. And we all have been through some worse than others. But take some of the strengths from that and move forward. Learn. The first step is accountability. And a lot of people do not want to accept accountability, because when they start accepting accountability, they have to look into all the bad that they did to either themselves or another person. So they don't even want to talk about it. But how can you heal if you don't talk about it? How can you heal if you don't accept accountability? How can do what you have to do? Before I went to prison, I was on house arrest for 6 months. And I know the Lord had his hands on me because, like I said, the judge, federal prison, they go through everything, your whole life history, your family, your sisters, mothers, everything. The judge saw that I had a bout with depression. And I just want to thank God, because one of my prerequisites while I was on house arrest, I had to go and seek therapy.
Good. Excellent.
He told me I had to go and seek therapy. He was like, you better not miss 1 week. And he said after 6 months, he said, this report needs to be on my desk. And I want to see how you did. When he told me I had to go to therapy, what I did as a mother, I put my children in therapy.
Good job. Good job.
Because I wanted them to express, they was about to lose their mother. At that time, we didn't know for how long.
Exactly.
But, so I wanted them to get through their anger, their issues. I didn't want them to be harboring through anything. I was up in front and honest with them. So that was one of the best decisions that the judge could have made for me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm blessed. So can you imagine if the judge would stop looking at the crime and the convictions and say, you know what, we're going to put you in therapy. We're going to give you some mental health counseling while you are here to help you move forward when you come home. We're going to help you do a week. We're going to do a day a week that your children can come and talk over their issues before you come home. Mental health is a big thing. Like I said, I was one of the blessed ones.
And Kim, imagine how many children would be helped if more judges did that. We got so many kids who are in the school now who are suffering because their parents are incarcerated. They don't know how to handle the situation of their parents being incarcerated.
They do not want to even let their children, they don't even want to let their peers know. And to be honest, sometimes it depends on what school system you're in. They have groups for children that parents are incarcerated. But you have to go and ask. This is nothing that they're just going to tell you. You have to go and dig deep and you have to go and ask. But one of my things where I was not, the 6 months that they let me stay home, I was going to use that 6 months to better myself and my children before I enter that place. Wonderful. And that's what I did. So I pretty much tried to prepare them. I tried to prepare myself as much as I could, but I tried to prepare my kids. So, you know, mommy's gonna be gone, but listen, we've been through this. Like, we got this. So, you know, so it won't be in the anger. Okay, you messed up. You left me. I got to go and stay here. You're not a mother. You know, I didn't want that, because that would have just, it would have just been so much. So if you can just start from that point, you know, people just don't go out and make bad decisions.
No,
Yeah, you know, Leah, I have to, since the Colonel is not here, the Colonel, Kimberly is our other host that usually brings in the political part of it. He always finds a way. And I just saw an opening to do what the Colonel probably would do if he was here.
Oh, no, not you, James. Go ahead.
Just what she said about that judge. That's why elections are important.
That's why elections are important.
Put the right people in there, because they, especially in the state or on the national level, they select the judges. And we don't only want judges. Well, we want judges that uphold the law, but we want judges that are critical thinkers and don't look at incarceration as a death sentence, or that I'm gonna lock you away forever because you made a mistake. But ones that say, okay, all right, and you said after they look at your record and see all these things and say, you know, let's give this person an opportunity. And it might seem like they're rough on you, but they're giving you an opportunity. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we talk about mental health here so much and how it's stigmatized in our African-American neighborhoods. Some people don't want to do it because they think it makes them look weak. But you saw the need. Well, at first he ordered you to do that, but after a while you saw the need. He didn't say, and I want your daughters to be in there too. You saw the need to include them in it, because they were going, so, you know, and just like many families of someone who is incarcerated or going through that, the families go through it with them. And sometimes it's more emotional trauma to them than it is that actual person. So I applaud you for seeing the need to take your daughters through that same thing. Is probably one of the reasons they are where they are today, because it could have been devastating to the point where they could have just, you know, say, I can't handle this. My mother's going away and I don't know how long. But by the grace of God, you didn't, you know, 18 months compared to could have been like 25 years.
Yes. And let me just mention one of the things that you mentioned about kids. I must mention at this time that there is a program in the public schools. I know at Brighton Elementary, I don't know if they're in all the public schools, but it's the Mann Foundation under Dr. Jacqueline Walker and Dr. Velvet Smith. They have a program called Boss Kids. And this is where kids, they actually wrote a book. The children wrote a book about their experience with their parents being incarcerated. So if anyone go out there and look at the Boss books by the Mann Foundation, you can hear the stories of from the children's perspective of what it is to have a parent who is incarcerated. I just had to put that in there since we're talking about children in the schools.
Well, that's important too, because the Mann Foundation deals with, you know, what before that, not many people dealt with the whole family. The whole family. Person. And you know, the family was just out there by themselves.
Yes, and that's what needs to happen. You know, you need to start dealing with the whole family. You need to start, because they're hurt too. You know, that they're hurt that their loved ones are, you know, are going away. And, you know, I know we have our own lives, and I know, you know, life can get hard and busy, but just sending a card. You know, I was thinking about you, you know, giving that person hope. Giving that person, you know, something, a passion. What is your purpose? Because sometimes, like you said, Miss Leah, sometimes God have to sit you down.
Exactly.
Sometimes he has to sit you down so you can realize who he made you to be and to become.
Because he knew who you were before you were in your mother's womb, honey. And he knew what your destiny was. And you just got to live up to what his plans are for you.
Yes. So, you know, you have to dig deep to find out, you know, what is your purpose in this life? What is your passion? What do you want to leave behind? If
Mhm.
anything, you want to leave something good behind. You want to leave a name, and you want to leave a legacy for
Mhm.
your children's children. You want to be able to say, okay, I accomplished something.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
accomplished something, not just, a lot of people, I understand, a lot the fast life, I lived it, but I look back at it was not worth it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was not worth it. I lost a lot, but thank
Mhm.
God I didn't lose my life.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
And
know,
you
And one
Kimberly.
didn't,
thing,
and
and one
you didn't lose your kids, Kim, because they
that's
surely
right.
could have come and taken your kids away from you
Yes,
and put them
and
in
a lot
foster.
of and a lot of mothers lose their children. And
Exactly.
when they go into that system
System.
from losing their children, that's another mental strain.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's another mental strain. And then you have to understand, you lose your children, and can you think about coming home and the only person you can come home to is your children?
Mhm. Mhm.
And your children don't want to be bothered with you. They don't even understand what happened. So
Mhm.
that's another mental strain,
Uh-huh. Mhm.
as a mother. And, as a society, we need to start looking at that. Everything, women, we need these reentry programs for women. We
Uh-huh.
need women to start learning about entrepreneurship and, becoming their own bosses, and so they can bring other women along with them to curve those. You know what? Let me start this business. Yes, it's going to take a long time, but you know what? When I do start this business, guess what? These are going to be some of the first women I hire.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
don't even have to
Mhm.
worry about it.
Mhm.
I got you.
Mhm.
I got you. My saying is, I am she and she is me.
Mhm. Mhm. I
You,
love it. I love it.
Kimberly, as we talk about some of the crime that's going out now with some of our young men and young women, and we have a lot of people like the fundamental hoops. What's his
Eugene
name again?
Swinson. Eugene
Eugene
Swinson.
Swinson, and people
Mhm.
like him that have been through the system. And they say a lot of times these young men respect them more. And I think
Mhm.
it's probably they probably respect the women that might have gone through that system too. And they
Mhm.
need to
Yes.
be told how to
Yes.
respect women from,
Mhm.
Yes.
and sometimes that probably needs to be incorporated too. Not only having men talk to young
Mhm.
men, but women talk to the young men too, so they'll
And
know
that's
exactly, because you
awesome.
know
That
what you expect
Ex-
out of these men, and they got to hear it from you all.
Exactly. And,
yes.
and James,
You
you're
know,
so right. So often
Mhm.
we have the men before, and very
And we
seldom.
need that men. We
Yeah,
need the men there
yeah, we
to
need them,
teach them how to be men.
but very seldom we have the women. Very
Mhm.
seldom we have
Yes.
the women who can tell their side of the story.
Yes.
You
And you
know.
have
Yeah,
to understand, the young men, the men, they have mothers.
Thank you.
yeah,
They have mothers. So if they did not learn how to respect their mother, or their mother wasn't in the house because she was incarcerated, they already are on a level of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a mother. My mother wasn't there. Everyone has a story.
Uh-huh.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a story. It does not matter what the story was, but sometimes people don't want to hear that story, but you have to, because one day you're going to grow up and you're going to have a story, and you're going to have to tell your children your
Exactly.
story, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
want them to have empathy and sympathy for you. So
Uh-huh.
you're going to have to, and that, Mr. James, that is awesome, because a
hmm
lot of these young men, they don't have relationships with their mother,
That's right.
especially if are they incarcerated. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they just don't want to talk about it because maybe their mother made a mistake. But at
Uh-huh.
the end of the day, she can turn around from that mistake. You can help
Exactly.
right.
her. You can
Yeah.
help
Exactly.
her. You can help her. Learn how to, pull out a chair. Chivalry is
Uh-huh.
not
Uh-huh.
dead.
Uh-huh.
Learn
Yeah,
how to,
yeah.
learn how to say I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And learn those words, I love you, I care, I understand, I
Mm-hmm.
hear you, they go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's those words. They go a long way. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people don't hear those words because they're so busy talking about what you did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
What
a lot of those kids and young men are crying out for help, because I
Yeah.
remember going to a meeting at IC Northam some years ago, and the purpose was to uh, be a meeting of some of us older citizens and the young people. And what frustrated me so much, most of the people in there were the adults and dominated the conversation,
Yes.
talking about what needs to be done.
Don't
And
give the
kids
children
were
a
sitting
chance to
back
talk.
there. I went there to hear what the young kids had to say,
Yes.
and they ended up walking out.
Uh-huh.
They walked out of that meeting because they thought it was supposed to be a 50-50 thing, or to me, it should have been an 80-20 thing. Most us listening to them. And I always felt we missed the golden opportunities, and we don't know what happened or how those guys, hopefully they turned out okay. But they came there hoping someone would listen to them.
Exactly.
And we stood up there and we dominated the conversation, talking about our lives. We already grown. And didn't listen to them, and they got up and walked out. So hopefully, we're better with our programs now, making sure we listen to them, because they are crying out, and you can see some of their actions. They're crying out.
Yes, they are.
And like you said, no mothers in the home, or if they had a mother in the home, a man might have disrespected her.
Exactly.
And they couldn't defend her. So, and so they kind of lost out there. So, it's not great what they're doing, to each other, but at some point, I think it's hope. It's a way we can get to them, and it's going to take a collective effort.
So Kimberly,
it's like they say, it's going to take a village. But we can't save the world, but starting with one.
That's right. That's right.
Start at one at a time. That's what matters. That's what matters, because sometimes these young men, they are crying out for their mothers. Sometimes they want a hug from their mother, and they can't. Maybe they never had that.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of adults, they don't want to speak with their children about what they're going through.
Exactly.
But who else is going to tell your story?
Exactly.
You don't want nobody else to tell your story. You want to be able to tell your story to your children yourself. You don't want the courts to tell your story. You don't want the grandparents to tell the story. You don't want the aunts or uncles to tell the story. You have the opportunity to tell the story to your children yourself. Even though it may be bad, hurtful, get through it. Get through it. Therapy, it's one of the best things.
And Kim, listening to you here makes me realize that the conference that we went to, the Oaks Conference, Hope Beyond Bars, you are proving that there is hope beyond bars. And you're giving hope to so many other individuals out here as well, who may have gone through what you have gone through, or who may be approaching going through what you have gone through. And maybe you gave them some incentives as to how they too can tackle this situation in a positive way, because you didn't go in there and let it destroy you.
No,
you didn't let it go in there and destroy who Kim was as a person. You came out a better person. You came out of the ashes a better person, refined, gold, and ready to serve the community and serve the public and let people know I've been through this and I can help you as well, which is
don't be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed. That's right.
Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. That's why we like.
Your story is not yours to keep.
Exactly.
Your story is not yours to keep. Your story is to share. And don't be embarrassed of what you've gone through in life.
And like you said, and if you don't tell it, somebody else is going to tell it, and they're not going to tell it the correct way. So you have to tell your own story.
Like I always say, you have to control the narrative.
Control the narrative. That's right.
That's right. And heal yourself so you can heal generations after you, because that's what it is. It's a lot of broken people that's raising broken people.
Exactly.
So start with yourself so you can start healing this generation, so you can heal yourself and your family.
That's right. Because if you're broken, you can't help anybody else to heal.
You can't.
You can't help anyone else.
The same way they say hurt people.
That's right.
Heal people.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
indeed.
That's right.
And that's
I noticed also, James, 1 minute. I noticed that Jesse Ellison is on, and Jesse is an art teacher at Craddock Middle School. And Jesse Ellison is one of the gentlemen who formed the Lunch Bunch, the group on Tuesdays. Eugene Swinson and I, we go to Craddock Middle School and Waters Middle School. We work with young men there in the school. So Jesse, I'm glad that Jesse's on board and he's watching at this time.
Hi, Jesse.
That's why we do what we do here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk, to get guests like you. Portsmouth born and raised, and don't have to be necessarily that, but we like to focus on Portsmouth people and have you on here to talk about success stories. Sometimes I get tired of seeing the main media. The only time I might see someone like you is when they have a troubled kid or they have been in trouble, and then they interviewing them after something has happened. So we want to be able to highlight people like you that have overcome whatever you've gone through. And it's a lot of people out here that have things that they, like we said earlier, that they don't talk about. Exactly. And that's their right. That's their right. But we get one person like you. If you help one kid and they spread it to the next kid, no telling where we'll be in the future. It's always hope.
And James, and I must mention at this time also, I can't let this day go by without mentioning that the Portsmouth Sheriff's Department, we have a reentry program. And not only do we do reentry, but we are in collaboration with the Mann Foundation. Dr. Jackie Smith and Dr. Velvet, Dr. Velvet Smith and Dr. Jackie Walker. But we also, another aspect that we do have the father-daughter dance during Father's Day, where we bring the children in so they can be with their father for Father's Day. And during Christmas, we have family time where the children are coming in and we get presents and let the fathers present the gifts to the kids, just to let the kids know that, I'm thinking about you, and it's just a great time to bring families together to begin that bonding before those gentlemen get out of jail. But like I said, unfortunately, there is no program yet for the women because historically we have not housed a lot of women in the Portsmouth City Jail. We only began to house women in our jail. And so, but the problem that we're having there is a lot of the women have mental health issues, which must be addressed before we could possibly do a program for them. But we are looking to do a program for them. And believe me, your name is at the top of my list, okay?
I guess it's proper to have a separate reentry program for men and women. Or
you're gonna have it. It would have to be separate.
It have to be separate.
It has to be separate.
It would definitely
combine the two.
Yes.
Because it's different issues that you have to deal with.
Women are facing issues that are separate from men issues. So
well, it might be a good thing if you never had that for women. That means you don't have that.
That means we don't have any women in the jail, and that would be a great thing.
but to have that opportunity for them, if they need be, it's probably a good thing. Yeah,
that's very true. That's very.
It's going to be an awesome thing. That's one of my goals. That's one of my goals. I'm going to achieve that goal.
Well, I would definitely be called. I'm going to get with Colonel Waters, and you are definitely on my list, Kimberly. Once we had not had reentry because of COVID. But now that COVID is lifting some, we're looking to begin our reentry program again. So I will definitely be getting in touch with you. And let's talk about your girls and your grandbaby. You got you had 2 daughters when you went away. You come back, you raised your 2 daughters to be graduates. And now you are the grandmother of 2 little boys, 5 days apart, sisters having twins. It seems like, huh?
Yes, that's exactly what it seemed like. And they came both to me. It was one of my Christmas gifts. They surprised me with they both told me they were pregnant, and that was one of my Christmas gifts. I'm like, oh my God. And then they told me they were pregnant due the same month, and their dates were 2 weeks apart at that time. But they was 5 days apart. And those little boys, my grandchildren, oh my God, they have stole my heart. Casey and Legend, they have stole my heart. And it's like God is just working. He had to sit me down, to give me the patience and focus and see where my purpose was. And when I look at them, I'm like, hold on. Even though they're going to know that their mother did do time, she was incarcerated, they're going to be like, you know what? My grandma, look, she was the bomb. She overcame everything. And I want them to know life isn't easy. Life isn't easy. And it starts within the home. You have the opportunity as the woman to build the foundation. So once you build a strong foundation, even if it cracks, you still have a chance to rebuild it. You just have to be strong enough to, and just continue to keep in prayer. but they are the best. My children and my husband, they're my biggest cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm.
They're my biggest cheerleaders, and I'm just blessed to be able to have them.
But
You
Kimberly,
know, Kimberly, you talk about that foundation, and many people out here have had that foundation cracked, and a lot of people miss their blessings because they're looking for the blessings from the right, and it's coming from the left, and they don't see it. They're looking for it one way. You just have to be aware of when that blessing comes your way, and take advantage of it. And
Yes, you do.
and when you get that nonprofit up and running, Kimberly, you're going to have to come back on, and we're going to have to share with the public what great things you are doing for the community, because I know it's going to be exceedingly good.
Yes.
I can feel it in my spirit right now.
Yeah. Yes, that is going to be awesome. But I definitely will want to come back on. I definitely have so much more to share. You know, I just definitely want, I definitely just want to, you know, just leave, you know, with this, you know, even though your foundation is broke, you know, you still have to fight. It's not easy. It's you're gonna hear more no's than you ever hear yes. I mean, it's gonna be 15 years from now. You still gonna be hearing no's. It's gonna be. I mean, you know, but you have to get past that. You have to get past that, and you have to say, okay, I'm worthy. You know, a lot of people feel they're not worthy because they made mistakes. I was just one of the ones that got caught, or however you want to say it. But it's a lot of people that are living, you know, they're living lives because they just don't want to share their story. And they're covering up, and they're holding so much in. And I just want them to be able to, because they can help so many people. They can help so many people. And that's just one of my passions. And I'm going to get there. I'm going to continue to strive for greatness.
You're going to be sorry you gave me your number, Kim.
And Kim, you said, you know, you just happen to get caught. And it's a lot of people out there still doing things, and they just haven't gotten caught yet.
That's right.
But they have to realize too that they can also stop. And you know, it doesn't have to take incarceration in order for them to wake up and do the right thing and get that mental help. You know, because a lot of times you're out there doing some things that because you don't think you can do anything else. You know, I talked one time about all of us grew up in elementary school. We sat beside somebody that would be doodling or drawing something. You say, wow, that person really is talented. And they never got the opportunity to use that skill, you know, because nobody recognized it, and they didn't further, you know, I've gone off a little bit on that. But again, thank you for being on here. And we definitely gonna have you back. I mean, I was looking at some of the response, and people are really enjoying the conversation. And even people that haven't been through this, it's kind of inspiring for them to see that, because we all been through something. It might not be in incarceration, but it's been, like me, it was a health situation, being a heart transplant recipient, and that was huge. But and I'm not comparing that to anything, but I'm just comparing the second opportunity, second chance that a lot of people have gone through a lot of things. And, you know, so we share that second
chance, regardless of what it is. If you have a second chance at life, you better use it, because a lot of people do not wake up. A lot of people don't have that second chance. They don't have it. So if you're blessed to have it, you need to be able to share your story to help someone else. In our community, you know, they use the term crabs in a barrel. I think we need to get out of that. We need to think about, like I said, my table is going to be so full with all type of women. I don't care what type of women they are. We're gonna love on each other. We're gonna build each other, and we're going to build that table, because when another woman is successful, that means her household is successful. She can teach somebody else, she can mentor someone else, and she can just keep forward and just keep it going, you know, just keep it going.
Pay it forward.
Do not be judgmental, because you just never know. You just never know.
And like you said, you don't know you can't be judgmental because you don't know the other person's story.
Exactly.
We don't know their story, so you can't judge a person based upon who you see. what the
Exactly.
visible part of it. You got to go beyond the visible portion of it and
Exactly.
actually get to know a person,
Yes.
And
So when
I got it.
so when a person tell about all their bad things that's going on in life, you ask them about what's some of the generational strengths. What did you learn from your grandmother? What did you
Exactly.
learn from your mother? What did you learn from your father? Because you was taught something.
Exactly.
You was taught something. Everything was not all
Everything
bad.
was not all bad. That's for
No.
sure.
No.
Yes, indeed. Let me give a special shout out to James Porter, who's watching out of Richmond, Virginia, and Leah, Virginia Union.
Oh, and Tara
I
Britt
had.
sends her love, Kimberly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's one of my girlfriends that I spoke about. She
stuck with
was
you.
there from
She stuck through.
Yeah, she stuck with me from the beginning, no judgmental, nothing. She stuck with me through the beginning to the end, and I love her for it. I love her.
Amen.
And
Well,
thanks to
James,
Laura Armstrong and
Laura's on.
Ira Dodden
Uh-huh.
from the neighborhood here. But a lot of people are watching. And
Yolanda Bird Daughtry
honestly.
from the clerk's office and from Cynthia Morrison's office is on. And
Oh wow! Hi.
yeah, we got some
Thank
good
you.
stuff here. So
Sandra Perkins, Bishop,
Nicole
thanks for
Williams.
watching. Katrina Hurdle.
Yes,
I knew some hurdles from
girl.
Kevlar Manor.
That's your girl? Katrina's your girl?
Yes.
Another one of your girls. Okay.
Yes, I love the support. I can't see who's supporting me, but I love all of y'all, whoever's on. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and watching me. You will definitely be hearing more from me soon.
And tell them if they miss any portion of this show, they can go to our YouTube, Portsmouth Coffee Talk YouTube later tonight. Tell them to subscribe. Tell your family members to come on and they can hear the whole story as shared by Miss Kimberly Mitchell Waters on our YouTube page as well.
On our YouTube channel, yes.
Yes. But Kimberly, I'm so excited because after I met you that first time, I said, James, I got somebody. I know she's good, James. We got to get her on the show. And I tell you what, you didn't let me down not one little bit.
Thank you.
You called me earlier talking about you were nervous. I said, Kimberly, just think about us sitting on the couch, girlfriends, sharing stories, sharing information. Yes. And you did just that. We brought James in on the girlfriend circle, but it's okay. We allow a guy in every now and then.
I feel comfortable here. I'm the father of a daughter and a granddaughter, so I feel comfortable.
And you have a wife. And you have
a wife.
And you had a mother.
So,
and you had a
mother.
Okay.
And most of them were born in February. They have that in common. But I was getting ready to say something, Leah, and you threw
I'm sorry, James. I'll do that to you all.
But that's okay. But we're winding down now, and we appreciate maybe when I'm talking it'll come to me. Well, anyway. Brain fart, I'm sorry. But anyway, we thank you. We thank you again for coming on, and Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice,
our community,
and our future.
And
we appreciate you.
Kim. Gotta get your coffee. Gotta get your coffee.
Well, thank you. I would love that. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, and for everybody's watching, listening to my story. Thank you so much. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'm coming.
I hope I get a chance to meet you in person one of these days, and
yes, you will.
We can do a in-person interview.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Especially once you start getting your other things that you want to be doing.
Yes.
But we can always sit down and talk about what you're doing now in person.
Yes,
sometimes those in-person interviews are pretty good as well.
Yes,
so.
they are.
Yes, I look at it also as a mentorship. A lot of people, sometimes it's good to listen to other avenues.
Right.
Mentorship is important.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. We kind of fulfilling our mission, because one of our missions here at Portsmouth Coffee Talk was to have guests on here from all different walks of life. And a lot of times you have shows like this and they have certain people on there, but they don't. It's a lot of other people that need to be up here to have a story to tell that people need to hear. Exactly. And that's what we try to do. Because Monday, we're going to have our state legislators on. Senator Lucas, Delegate Don Scott, and Delegate Nadarius Clark. So we have everybody up here because everybody has a story to tell. But I really appreciate when we have grassroots people on here, people that from your neighborhood that and grew up with, and their stories to me are more intriguing I mean, we're not, just as intriguing, I'll put
Just
it
as
that way.
intriguing. That's right.
And just
That's
as
right.
informative and probably will help somebody as well. So that's what I almost forgot to say.
But you got it in, James. It came back.
I got it in.
It came back. It came back. But Kim, once
so
again,
we're gonna sign off. Leah, did you want to tell them where we're going from here?
Oh yes, well,
As
Kim, when
Portsmouth
we
Coffee
leave
Talk?
here, we're going to IC Norcom High School, where they're going to have their spring concert this afternoon at 7 o'clock, and they will be rededicating a Baldwin piano that was given to the school in 1953, and that piano was sent to France, where for the past year they have been refurbishing it. And so tonight we will get a chance to see this beautiful piano that the AKAs gave to IC Norcom High School in 1953. We want to thank the AKAs for their support of the great IC Norcom High School, and we look forward to their continued support of Norcom. So we will be at Norcom High School at 7 o'clock tonight. And Kim, we're just so thankful that you agreed to come on a little earlier for us tonight so that we can make that event as well. So Kim, I love you. You're gonna be sorry you gave me your number. You will be hearing from me, girl. Okay. I got some things. I got my mind on some things with you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And I might add that we're going to be there tonight. But when you have football games and basketball games, you crowd the fields and you crowd the gyms. But we need to support these spring concerts, the bands and the choir. They work just as hard as the football.
That's true.
And the basketball teams, I know because, well, anyway.
Because he sat on the bench,
I played a game, but I also was in the orchestra.
And he was in the orchestra.
I was on the bench. I sat down. I sat down when I played basketball, and I sat down when I was in the orchestra. So it was a quite natural progression for me. But I was in the orchestra at Waters.
But James, you were there, and that's what's important.
I was there.
That's what's important.
And I was second chair. And
like Kim said,
anyway,
like Kim says, you have to tell your story, okay?
I have to tell my story too, whether the people want to believe it or not. I played ball. Yes. I wore the uniform. But anyways, yeah, support our students. They need us there, just as much as the football, basketball, baseball, and track teams. Our choirs and orchestras and bands need our support. So make sure you do that. But we're going to end now for real. Thank you again. And I love that blue you have on. Love that blue you have on. That's
my color, Kim. Kim, that's blue is my color. That color blue.
Thank you for having me on. This was awesome.
Yes. And I told you it'd be like a conversation. And thanks everybody for watching, the ones that tuned in and made your comments. We really appreciate you. And of course, tell the people if they missed it to go to our YouTube channel later on tonight and watch it on our YouTube channel. And it'll be out there forever on our YouTube channel. So
Kim, you can share it from my page as well if you like, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. James. See y'all later. Thank you for having me on this amazing platform.
You're welcome, sweetheart. And thank you so very much.
Okay, bye.